The Writing Way with Amanda Nicholson and Andy N.
The Writing Way with Amanda Nicholson and Andy N.
The Writing Way with Amanda Nicholson and Andy N.
The Writing Way with Amanda Nicholson and Andy N. Amanda.
Andy, and this is The Writing Way.
What is The Writing Way?
It's where we talk about writing and similar things, so it can extend to editing and things that are sort of in that vicinity.
Yeah, indeed. So now the bulk of it is going to be a discussion, obviously, for something Amanda wants to raise today. I do have something a little I want to bring up as well. But Amanda, what are we talking about today?
So we're talking about getting ripped off either in writing or in similar sort of work.
Yeah, okay. Now, obviously, you've got a few case examples in question you want to talk about it specifically, haven't you?
Yeah, because I've written, well, I had 9 novels published now, and I'm working on 10 and 11 at the moment. But I also do copywriting work as well. So I've had lots of chances for people to try to rip me off. So I've got quite a few examples I can use without naming anybody.
Yeah, obviously, for legal reasons, we can't name these people, and we're not going to very, very vague of what we're talking about, what they were doing. Now, I can think of two. Is there more than that I'm aware of here, Amanda, today you want to mention?
I've got 3 examples that I'm
For
going to talk
example,
about.
that's fine. Okay, give us the first example then.
So the first example was someone that actually contacted me on LinkedIn when I was about 2 years into my copywriting work, and I did some work for them for a while. It's very low paid, but it was quite interesting work. I'm not going to talk about topics because I don't want to narrow it down. And they were always late in paying, and then one time they just didn't pay at all. And what I had to do, you worked at the courts at the time, and I had to just word it in a certain way. I think I remember you helping me word it in a certain way and threatening to take them to court.
Yeah,
And
no,
that was enough to,
yeah, I remember that. Was that the one when, yeah, it's case in point here was, and there's nothing I hide this, I don't work there anymore. I was working over as a Part 7 clerk over at the old online money claim centre. And what you do with a Part 7 claim, and this is very, very, I've taught 2, 3 writers this as well. And apart from you in this one, man, didn't you? Where if you get the form, you can tell somebody, can't you, saying, right, if you don't pay up, this I'm going to send this over to court. And all it basically is, it's a standard
yeah, I think
form.
I got as far as actually filling the form in without paying for the fee and then sending it across to them and saying, I'm sending this across in 7 days if you don't pay. And then they did. And then they had the cheek to get in touch a few weeks later as if nothing had happened and just say, oh, do you want to do some more work for us?
Oh yeah, yeah. Remember that? Yeah, I was thinking of one of the probably the other cases you can mention in a minute, but yeah, that was just
Yeah, I will be mentioning the one you're thinking of as well.
yeah, I thought so. Yeah, yeah. It was just that was a plain bizarre case. That was. It was like it's almost like it was they hadn't paid the blinds bit of attention to what you threatened him to with, had they? So, and it was like yeah, oh, I was just
Yeah, it's like normally if somebody threatens you with court if you don't pay them, you tend to not ask them to do work for you again. But they were
yeah.
just like, oh, well, this is standard. Everyone threatens us with court. We'll do some more work for us.
I don't know. I'd call that standard what they were on about there to you, love Jones. I think it was
Yeah,
just
and I
plain.
basically declined it because it's like if you're writing stuff that it's in the back of your mind, am I actually going to get paid for this?
Yeah, exactly.
It's not really a good way to work. It's like you going to your job and not knowing whether they're going to pay you at the end of the month.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's strange. I do remember that one mentioned that to me as one of the strange things I've ever come across that man that was. Yeah, it's like it's almost like the idea on the list and I thought, oh, she's bluffing, she won't do it again. Not when you've got a husband like
Yeah,
me backing behind you. Because yeah, I was like, and you hadn't heard of that Part 7 claim thing, had you before that?
I don't think I have, no, because obviously I've never been in a situation where I've needed to do anything like that before.
Yeah, exactly. It's and it's people should bear in mind for yourself, like if we're taking that took this to court, it's not the case of like it going straight to court. You could have potentially, and this is bear in mind, this is not even in the case, and I can't remember where this defendant lives, so I can get away with saying this. Is like it's immaterial whether they're actually in England or abroad, or even like they've just you can sue somebody with just an email address because if you've got their
Yeah,
details, it go along it does it blacklists their credit rating, and it's like then like if they're trying to set companies up, or indeed actually trying to move a buy a house or something, it comes up. So that's what people should bear in mind with stuff like if you try ripping people off like that, you're always going to, for someone like me knowing that knows the systems, you can make a nightmare for people with that one. And like, do you remember, Amanda? I'm not going to name names here. My ex-lodger.
yeah,
Yeah, now my ex-lodger's. I'm not going to name him for a few reasons. Okay, he decided to try and do a runner on forfeiting him the last month of payment with me and my rent. Silly bugger left his wage slip behind, but I knew where he worked anyway, so I had his HR details and his payroll details, and I was actually in the process of completing the form and turned around and said to him, "You pay me the £200 you owe me, or is to go to court. The judge will approve it, and then it'll go to bailiffs or sheriffs who'll be coming down to your workplace demanding money of you a certain amount every month, and it'll cost you about £500." That's what that
mm,
foolish person dealing with you didn't think, did they?
no.
That's why, so yes, like I said, pay up my philosophy, don't try ripping people off. So, and Amanda, give us a second example. Less than me, more than you.
Yeah, so the second example was somebody that I didn't actually do regular work for. I did what you call the paid writing test. So a lot of the times you get people trying to rip you off by doing unpaid writing tests, but occasionally people will offer you a paid writing test, and it was that. And I had to write however many words and I agreed to the price and everything. I followed the brief, and then he changed his mind and wanted something completely different that would mean rewriting it. But I already had the original brief he'd sent me in the email. And he made a video as well. I think for some reason he must have thought like the video I'd delete it and it wouldn't be some sort of evidence. And he basically changed his mind about everything and admitted that he changed his mind and said, "Oh, well, I'm not going to pay you unless you change it." And I was like, "Well, I've done this work, so I want paying." And he was like, "No, I'm not paying you. If you want to get paid, you have to do this," which was basically writing a completely different article, going using completely different information and like a different angle. So I tried the same thing again with the threatening to take them to court and sending the form across and saying, "I'm sending this." And he was a bit cockier because he says, "Oh, okay, well, take me to court then." So I thought, "Oh, well, what do I do now?" But I had come across, because I'm in a lot of writing groups, people talking about hitting them on social media, which is not something I'd ever done before. And he had a business page on social media where his writers and his clients followed him. And I basically posted it on there. And he's probably, I don't think at the time, I don't know if it's changed now, you couldn't delete the reviews that people give you on there. So I'd post it as a review. And he was probably thinking, well, people I work with, either work for me, are going to not want to work for me anymore. And clients are going to think, well, I don't want to hire this person if he's hiring people out and not paying them. So then suddenly he emailed me and said, "So, oh, I've changed my mind. I've been thinking about it. Out of generosity, I'm going to pay you now."
Stupid man. Yeah, so a load of what's the word is BS there, basically, isn't it? Straight away. I remember
Yeah,
that case.
I think I've missed out a step actually, because before that, I think he tried to discredit me and say, "Oh no, you didn't, you wouldn't agree to do the work I wanted." And I said, "Oh, that's fine. I can start posting all the evidence I've got because I had the video and the email and everything." And I was all ready to start posting all the evidence on the review section of his Facebook page.
Yeah, I remember that because again, the same situation is he was trying to be cocky with him, it's like saying like, "Oh, just take me to court, I don't care." And the trouble was not thought that through. If you got the when people like you there, you're organised, you had evidence. That evidence you had would have basically crucified his reputation again. And it's like it's trouble as it is,
Yeah, I basically keep everything that's written down because if something goes wrong,
it's
it just
admissible.
serves as like this person's agreed to do that.
It's admissible and evidence in court. So stupid man. Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember that. Well, yeah. So like I said, he would have learned. He would learn, and it just shows you, doesn't it? It wasn't a massive amount of money, was it? The second one, either, Amanda.
It was about £90, and this was about 4 years ago, I think.
Hmm.
So it's not like loads, but at the time, it would have helped a lot
Yeah, I
because
was.
none of my copywriting work's been particularly high paid. And like I make it up occasionally with like bylined articles that I get and things like that. But
Yeah.
I wasn't happy to just like say goodbye to £90
No,
and not
£90,
stop working
£90.
for it.
Yeah. Let me give you a quick rundown of court costs this, everyone. It's people interested in listening to part sevens or what they were at the time. If you'd gone along and completed the form and sent it over to court for this had been £35 for the initial fee. Then, obviously, if it'd gone beyond that, he hadn't responded with a defence. Amanda could have then applied for judgment on this. That's free. Then he has to respond to that. If you don't respond to that in a certain amount of period, he's basically blacklisted because he gets registered on the system in question. But then, like, Amanda could have technically sent over the bailiffs to him or sheriffs. They occur fees that are going to him, not Amanda, him, on top of it. So it'd been, I forgot what the sheriff fees are now, to be honest with it. Say, for example, it was £200. He's paid out basically 100, you're working out, Amanda, say £90, £125 plus 325
Yeah.
instead of £90. And then technically, and beyond that, you can then start bunging, the court can then start bunging additional fees on top of him. You could do stuff like witness summons or summon him to court. If you don't respond to that, then the bailiffs come around because it's going to go backwards and forwards. And I've seen ridiculous costs given out to people. So it's worth just pay it. Honest to God. What that gentleman was trying to do to Amanda there, he was getting cocky. He thought, oh, do you think he's been a bit sexist towards you, Amanda, do you reckon, in hindsight?
I think he would have done the same to anybody, to be honest, whether they were male or female. And there's no telling how many people he's done that to before and they've just backed down and thought it's too much hassle.
Yeah, I get the impression of what you told me there as well. He does. He's just. Let's move on, okay? Right, Amanda. I know you've got a third example for us as well, haven't you?
Yeah, so this was some work that I never ended up doing because you put me in touch with someone, and I'm not going to be any more
No.
specific than that. You didn't know them, but you thought they might need some work doing. And I think it was a fairly big job as well she wanted me to do. She wanted me to do a lot of editing and writing and a few other bits and pieces to help with a book and other bits and pieces that she was doing with her business. And I talked to her and we agreed a price. I can't remember how much, but it was in the hundreds because it was a fairly big job.
Yeah.
And I went away and gave her the price. And I said, I'll do this in 4 sections. And I said, it'll be X amount ahead of this first section. And then if you're happy with that, then I've submitted it. Then we'll move on to the second section and you'll pay me before that and so on, just to sort of lower the risks for both of us. So it's not just like she's paying me all the money up front or I'm doing all the work up front and then hoping she pays me at the end of it. And then
Hmm.
suddenly, a few days later, I got a message from her saying, "Oh, actually, I've changed my plans now. I don't think I'm going to need that work doing." And I think to this day that she was planning on just not paying me and hoping I'd do all the work, and at the end of it, just disappearing. Because we both saw her on Facebook saying about how skint she was and coming up with sob stories and trying to get money donated or to get people to sort of buy her services for her business and complaining that she can't afford to keep her kids and things like that.
Yeah. Again, like I said, I'm not going to legally name this person, okay? I know exactly what you're on about here, Amanda. It does raise questions that straight away what you said, because this person in question had bought out one book by that point, and they were talking to you at the time of two further books, weren't they, as well?
Yeah,
And neither of those books have come out. Again, I have no evidence of what's going on here, whether they were changing direction or it's simply down to the fact is, you're right, what Amanda said, they might, the price Amanda might have charged him, maybe thinking, like, I can't afford that. And Amanda didn't charge people notice this sort of thing, a massive amount of money. There's people out there, and you're right, you agree with Amanda, will charge you probably 3, 4 times as much as what you charge. And you charge,
yeah.
I think, a fair
I,
rate.
I'm in a lot of groups. Yeah, a lot of groups I'm in. If I posted I'm doing this work for somebody and
Mm.
I'm charging this amount, they would automatically say, "Oh no, that's way too low," and they would probably turn around and say, "Oh, you need to charge her at least £4,000 for that."
So I've seen figures going on like that before now. It shows you sometimes with
Yeah,
people like that. I said, it depends what's going on, like I said. But yeah, I agree with you on that. So it's you just got to think when you're doing freelance work sometimes. I think this is something you've learned from Amanda, isn't it? Like, you just got to watch. Do you agree? You've got to watch your back when you're dealing with people who don't know them sometimes.
yeah. Sometimes it works out and it's all right, but I think you need to go with your gut sometimes, and even if you working with someone and you think, oh yeah, they'll be fine. You just need to keep hold of everything if you're going to go ahead and work with them, and everything they say to you, make sure that if they've said it to you, like on a Zoom call, that they email you so you've got that in some sort of writing if it comes to it.
Yeah, I do. You cover your back and everything you do with it, so I agreed with doing that. So, is there anything else you want to raise about this topic, man, before we move on?
No, I think you wanted to talk about something as well,
I've
didn't you?
got two things actually. One of which, people know obviously we do know well, I do two other podcasts. Amanda's on one over with me, not the TV guide, which is well, the latest episode's going to be out fairly soon when I've got it edited after this one. Beth, who's on our team, has just started watching Educating Yorkshire, hasn't she, Amanda? And do you remember what
Yeah,
she talked about with the problems in schools, Chat GPT and various
yeah,
associations?
yeah. It's fine trying to figure out if people are using ChatGPT. I think the teachers probably know, but proving it is a bit different because you can run it through an AI check, but they're AI as well. So you're just asking AI to tell you if AI has written
Yeah,
it.
it's a,
And they all come up with different percentages. So
yeah.
that tells you that it's not really accurate.
Yeah, I found that. I wanted to mention that today because I think there is a growing problem, John. You look at the way, like, obviously, the way ChatGPT and associated programs like Copilot and whatever is used. Obviously, like saying, do you remember I told you a bit back? I had a South African writer contact me, didn't I? Who I'm not going to name.
Yeah,
And I'm going to mention this as a case example before we come on to the third point. We'll come on to a minute with this. But, and people wonder this one, like obviously it's spoken over my author artist chat podcast. I do get a fair bit of requests coming through to some guests and stuff. And usually, if I've booked them myself, I know who I'm bringing in. You've done your research or you know who they are, to some degree. And I had one
yeah,
come through and I'd never heard of him before. Never heard of him before. Sent me over the details and I showed you this, Amanda, didn't I? And do you want to tell people what your opinion was of this gentleman in question? At least we think he was a gentleman anyway.
yeah. I read the email he sent and I thought this feels a bit AI to me. And I'll get onto that later and explain like some of the things that made me think
Hmm.
it. And then there was also an audio clip, wasn't there? I think I
Yeah,
can't remember what he was reading. It might have been some of his work or something. And it sounded very robotic. And I
yeah.
thought, he's got AI to read this out as well.
Yeah, I felt so. I managed to find an example of the gentleman's poem on whatever, and it came back 100% because you're going to say a minute like is I came across 100% on three different checking programs, and because I
Yeah,
produce music and for vocals and stuff for people, I heard it straight away. I thought this is robot, very poorly done robot as well. And Amanda,
yeah.
what did you think after
For
that?
me, yeah. For me, like without using AI checkers, it's like a lot of people will say, oh, well, there's like M dashes in it and there's this and that, and it talks a certain way and uses these words. And it's like, even though they're a very small part of it, it's usually a bit of a mix of that and how often they use these words and if the words fit with it. So if you're reading it and then you have to read the same sentence 10 times because it's just all these words in the same sentence, but they don't actually mean anything together, that's usually a sign of it.
Yeah, no, agreed. Agreed. We had another example of this as well, because we're going to be off topic today, and I'm not going to name where, when, okay? Do you remember the question when we saw somebody at a certain poetry night recently go on stage, or should we say a stage of some kind, and read out something, didn't they? And it was blatantly obvious that it was AI written, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah,
Yeah, it's it seems to be building up more and more and more. Like, I think if you use AI correctly, it can be very helpful, as a writer. It's like I love Grammarly. Grammarly is such a good package because maybe I'm dyspraxic. It's not perfect, but it's a big help to help me improve as a writer. And then I can use other bits and pieces because to help me look at things at different angles sometimes. But if you're just writing a story for you, say ChatGPT or Copilot, and treating it off as your own, it's a bit naughty.
yeah. I know in the early days when I played around with it for a bit of fun, and said to it like, write a story in the style of Stephen King, and it came up with something, and it wasn't really like Stephen King at all.
Oh yeah, no, you do, and they're not. Most of them aren't very good.
It was just like the novelty of it. I think like you could just like laugh at it.
Oh God, yeah, completely. You do. You do like it. I laugh at it, but I think it's gone much more serious now. And I think you bear in mind, when did the Chat GPTs first become famous?
Oh, it was a few years ago now. I couldn't tell you exactly when.
I'm gonna have a quick
I
look on
heard
it.
I heard a lot of people on the writing groups have been talking about it, and then I just sort of started using it because everyone was saying, "Well, you're going to have to learn how to use it." And I went and did these courses and things like that, and a couple of clients that I was with wanted me to edit ChatGPT, so I wanted to learn more about it. But it just got to the point where I thought, I don't want to do this because I can actually go away and do this a lot quicker by the time you've corrected it and fact checked it. And there's actually an article on my Substack page, No Right Way, where I've given it a couple of paragraphs about me to sort of get it to start it off so it knows which Amanda Nicholson is I'm talking about. I asked it to sort of say a little bit about me, and it completely hallucinated a lot of things that didn't make sense
Yeah, they
and
are.
contradicted itself as well because it talks about how they'll have children and then later on it mentions children. It's like, well, which is it?
Cobblers, yeah. No, great. It's just, I've just checked from ChatGPT. I think it was the first one came out. Would you believe, Amanda? It was under 3 years ago.
I know, and it's just like taken over completely.
Yeah,
So
in under
much in
three
that
years.
time.
Yeah, that was first released on the 30th of November 2022. Oh, I think I first came across it. Ooh, what? Well, it wasn't when I was doing my first novel, Birth. That was the end of 23. So it just shows you that's how, and it's really got advanced, I think, in under 3 years. And it's going to be, I think it's quite scary to think how this is going to go in the next 3 years. What do you think? Well, it's going to get more and more advanced, isn't
Yeah.
it? So,
I don't think that like places that accept short stories and novels and poetry are really going to use it. Even though I have heard of like some publishers setting up just to publish AI, but I'm talking about like the big publishers. And I think if they do use it, it's like right, readers are just going to stop buying the books because it just lacks like a spark. I think it's hard to describe, but it's
yeah,
just that thing that makes you feel and like have empathy for the characters, and
yeah, I agree.
the AI can't grasp that.
No, not yet anyway. Yeah, I agree, do agree with you. Do agree with you completely. So it's just, as I said, we wandered off topic a bit, but yeah, as I said, back to this South African gentleman. That's why I found, and this I knew straight away it was from looking at his work, and you did as well. And I've had a couple when I used to use a program called not Matchmaker, yeah, Matchmaker.fm, which is and was a very good
Yeah,
guide for getting podcast guests. And I'd had a couple come through there, and I remember, yeah, Tommy told you about this, didn't I? One, I pulled them and immediately, I'm not taking this because ChatGPT written. They said, oh, me bad, and then blocked me. And then, do you remember what the other one did?
yeah. That's the level of how they could talk because they can't think for themselves anymore.
Yeah,
They just go out going me bad.
yeah, and blocked me. So then the other one kicked off denying about it completely. And I sent them a good screenshot saying, well, this says it's now 100% ChatGPT done for free programs. And then they reported me. So, so if you take it serious, you get paranoid, but you don't really. I won't, right? So, now, yeah, there's one thing I want to bring up to you, Amanda, today to wrap up with today as well. This came up on, I can't remember what group it was now as well. It's one of the submission call groups on Facebook, where obviously, like, people obviously will use programs like Submittable, won't they, for sending submissions across to
Yeah,
magazines. Now, there's somebody that actually, I can't tell the names, I've forgotten it, and I can't name what quite a competition it was paid out something like $75 to enter a poetry writing competition via Submittable.
yeah,
And this was worrying this really, to be honest with you. The fact was, not the fact like they didn't win it, they didn't, but they didn't, the document on Submittal didn't even get opened and they paid $75 for it.
yeah. I don't know how it works, so I don't know if there's some way of them seeing it or having a preview of it or something without it showing us open. Because I've
Yeah,
not been on that side of
yeah,
submittable. I've been on the other side where I'm submitted stuff.
same for me as well. It's worrying because it's asking a serious point, like saying like, if you're doing that, is like if they aren't even looking at them, it makes you wonder in some
Yeah,
competitions how reputable they are. And that's why it raised, you tell me you agree with this. It raises the point, if you're ever going to pay to enter a competition, I'd say $75, for example, you have got to research each company properly, first of all, haven't you?
yeah. I don't think I would ever get to the point where I would pay that. The most I've paid was £29, and I'd never do it again.
Yeah, no, I can't blame him. I can't blame him. I remember the competition and question on that one. Like I said, it's a worrying sign, really. Whereas like they don't this question, they just couldn't be bothered up, almost like they couldn't bother them and opening it really. So, but yeah, sure. Anyway, that's all my news, Amanda. Are you complete otherwise?
Yeah.
Okay, folks, that's it then. We will see you on the other side. Amanda, take us out.
See you next time, everybody.
Stay safe. Stay over. Okay, see you in a bit.
The Writing Way with Amanda Nicholson and Andy N.
The Writing Way with Amanda Nicholson and Andy M.
The Writing Way with Amanda Nicholson and Andy N.
The Writing Way with Amanda Nicholson and Andy M.